episode 62 of the YarnderWoman podcast. My name is Melinda. You can find me as YarnderWoman on Instagram and Ravelry. And welcome to the show. Today is Tuesday, the 13th of June 2017. I think everyone's in the same boat. Can we believe it's June? I'm coming to you as always from Perth in Western Australia. It's just gone 5 a.m. My coffee hasn't kicked in yet, so let's see how we go. Sorry, my voice has also gone a bit funny. If you follow me on Instagram, you may have seen I have been sick yet again. To Pauline from the Knit Girls, 1 minute health update. I, a couple of weeks ago, had a virus, then last week got another virus, then got a bacterial infection on top of that, so I've been on antibiotics, so feeling much better than I was, but still got a bit of the residual, so excuse me for my slightly abnormal voice. You may not be able to hear it at all, but unfortunately I'm more susceptible to catching colds and flus because the medication I take for my rheumatoid arthritis condition actually lowers my immune system because, quick info session in case you're interested or didn't know, arthritis is an autoimmune disease, which means the immune system attacks itself. In this particular case, attacks the joints. So the medication to suppress that condition suppresses the immune system. So therefore, come winter when all those fun sherry bugs are around, they all like to come and join me. But that's okay. I am recently, again, this is turning into a 2-minute health update, so hope you don't mind. Sort of doing a little bit more research onto the medication and anything I might be able to do to try and counteract that. So that'll actually be something in a later segment in spinning me right round about things I'm doing for my stress relief and mental health and that sort of thing that can help with keeping your immune system as in as happy a place as it can be. So, end of health update. Let's get on with the podcast news. You can find the show notes to this episode at www.yarnderwoman.blogspot.com.au. We've also got a Ravelry group, so come and join there. There is a lot of chatter happening. That's where we have our contests. There's always a thread for each episode. So if you'd like to leave any comments or chats there. Also on YouTube, of course. I have to say, and I think I've mentioned before, I can't always see the comments on the YouTube videos from my iPad, but when I am able to log on to our home computer, I can see them then. So if you leave me a comment on YouTube, thank you very much. And apologies that there may be a slight delay in me being able to reply to you just because of that access, because the home computer is Damien's work computer for his home office. So anyway, I have a cup of tea, coffee, water, beverage of choice. Sit back and relax, and let's go and broach the subject. This is one of my favourite brooches. This is from the Etsy seller Hannah Letters, and it's just gorgeous. It's made out of felt, and of course with the knitting aspect, how can you go wrong? I've got quite a few of Hannah Letters brooches. I'll put, of course, the link in the show notes, because she does just such amazing work. They're all handmade and hand-stitched and just lovely, and I think she does have quite a few knitting designs available, like similar things. She does sort of quirky designs where it's usually, I don't know if she does any boys, it's usually little girls, with things on their head or something happening, so quite quirky, but I think there's quite a few knitting ones, so I'll try and find the specific link to the knitting brooches as well. Okay, prizes! Now I'm going to put times for all the different segments throughout the podcast down below in the down bar on YouTube, as well as in the show notes, depending on where you're watching from. And that way you can skip ahead to any segment, but especially if you're not interested in hearing the prize winners if you didn't participate. So, of course, you are free to listen regardless of whether you did participate or not, but it is your choice. So our prizes, first off, we had the Little Miss Chelsea Bean shawl, very generously donated to us by the designer herself, Jen Sheelan, and she gave me a copy, which was lovely. So this design was inspired by Jen's newest fur baby, Little Miss Chelsea Bean, her doggy, and it's a beautiful shawl, and it was lovely, Jen, for us to have that opportunity to win. So I am sorry I have neglected to write down on my notes how many posts there were total, but with all my prize drawings I use random.org, so I do from post 2 so that I don't include my first post 2 to whatever the last one is, and we go from there. So apologies I haven't got the total here. But the winner was post number 30, who is Phoenix Fire, Tracy from North Carolina. Yay! Tracy, if you could please send me a direct message on Ravelry when you have seen this, and I will then put you in touch with Jen and she can send that pattern to you. Okay, our sock cowl winners. So we ran the sock cowl through all of May and it was wonderful, and we had just one thread, so it was chatter, finished objects, whip photos, all of it in together, which was lovely because everyone could comment and join in. It also meant that in drawing these prizes, I won about 15 prizes if they had been there. So obviously I'm not eligible for prizes. I just mean that because I was commenting so much, my posts kept coming up as winners. So it goes to show, if you chat a lot in threads, you're in with more of a chance. If you're eligible. Okay, so wonderful prizes that we had from designer Claire Devine. She is a prolific designer. Last episode I mentioned she had just just gifted me her collection from Dorset with Love. You can have a look in the show notes from last week's episode. Wonderful collection of things. But she was very kind enough to give us not only a discount code for the sock cowl for her sock patterns, but also several prizes. So our first prize was from her was the Blue Skies ebook. So that's one of her collections. And that went to post 96, who was Lemicole Linda from Pennsylvania. Linda, get in touch with me and I'll hook you up with Claire. We then had a pair of sock blockers donated to us from Lumi Graphica, who are an Australian company. They very kindly sent me a pair of these sock blockers. I have the other one of the pair on a sock that I'm going to show you in finished objects, so I will leave that one out for the moment. So these great, very sturdy Perspex blockers. Got some air holes here, which are just great. This lovely design here in the middle is very fun. And the little sheepy on the top with the different measurements. So the winner of this one, if you get in touch with me, because I will link you up with Lumi Graphica, because you'll be able to choose what size sock blockers you like. So I don't have them there, they'll come straight to you from Lumi Graphica. So without further ado, the winner of the sock blockers from Lumi Graphica was post 139, Vivi Knits, Viv from the UK. Yay! Viv, get in touch and then I will make sure that you and Lumi Graphica can correspond. Our next prize was donated to us by one of our fellow viewers who won a prize in a draw we had last year, and as wanting to pay it forward has donated a beautiful sock blank from Gail's Art. So thank you very much. It's very generous of you. And the winner, the lucky winner of that sock blank, was post number 71, Sylvia 1002, Sylvia from Massachusetts. Yay! Sylvia, get in touch with me, because then I'll get your address details and I'll pass them on to the person who will be sending out your prize to you. And Claire Devine again was very generous to donate 2 single patterns of the winner's choice. So the winners of those 2, the first one was post 55, Mrs. Frozzy, Gwen from New South Wales. Yay! And the second one was post 83, Sonic Freak, Amanda from Indiana. Yay! So, Gwen and Amanda, please get in touch with me, and then I'll let Claire know, and then you can perhaps let me know what pattern you would like, because then I can tell Claire and she can just send it straight to you. Thank you to everyone who participated. I know that knitting socks is the biggest prize, but you know, it's nice to win prizes too. So congratulations to the winners, and apologies to anyone who didn't win, but I hope you had a wonderful time. I certainly enjoyed it. We will be having another knit along coming up in July. I think we'll leave June for the moment. But in July we're going to have the red along again that we did last year. So that will be, I'll give you more details close to the time, but as a quick sneak preview, that will be, you can knit, crochet, spin, whatever your fibre craft, anything with red in it, as long as there's, you know, a significant portion of red, because, you know, I like red. So, and it's my birthday month and the podcast anniversary. It'll be 3 years old this year. So more on that later. Thank you to everyone who joined in those cowls, and it's been great fun. I've got some finished objects. Very exciting. Coffee hasn't kicked in yet. First up, I talked about the sock blocker. Look at these beauties. Now, because my sock blocker, as you can see here, I've got the small small medium women's, and it's the small men's. These socks are for Damien, so the sock is a little bit long, but that's okay. It doesn't matter. But just to let you know, that's why it might be wobbling. It's not a problem with the sock blank. It's just a different size. So these, being a different size, these are for Damien, my partner, and they were for his birthday, which was recently held. Anyway, aren't they awesome? I'm so happy. I don't have the tag for the yarn anymore, but it's from Spotlight, which is like our big box store, as I believe they're called in the States, somewhere like Joann's or Michael's, from what I understand. So it's 75/25 superwash merino nylon. Actually, I'm not even sure if it's merino. I think it's just wool because it's quite toothy. So it's very similar to Opal in that it's this self-patterning and then it's that very toothy, hard-wearing yarn. So I think it's going to be fabulous. So he really loved the colours. He's very much into greys and blacks, and I think they turned out perfectly. They're not exactly matching, if you can see there, but they're very similar, and they sort of, similar things happen at similar places, if that makes sense. So not perfectly matching, but, you know, it's not that big a deal because it's that kind of pattern. But very, very happy with those. Last time I mentioned these, I said that I wasn't finishing the toes because I was just ever so slightly unsure about the size. I've got a fish lips kiss heel, which is pretty much the only heel I ever do. And in that pattern, you may or may not be aware, there's a lot of instructions, and it shows you how to measure someone's foot, do a cardboard cutout, make a mark of where to put the heel, etc. So I used that as my guide for the length, and it's quite hard to get a cardboard cutout into a sock that's, you know, I didn't sew up the toe, but it was pretty much finished. But I used that as my guide, so knit as long as the cardboard foot, you know, didn't bend or crumple or anything. So I was pretty confident, but I had finished one and just had the yarn at the end, didn't sew it together. And then I think on the second one I got perhaps up to about here, so I had to do a little bit more knitting and then the toe. So when I gave them to Damien on his birthday, they were wrapped up, but then coming out of the wrapping were the ends of the yarn and then my project bag next to it. So when he sort of, you know, had his presents out and then he's like, you know, goes to move the project bag to get out of the way, and I was like, no, that's part of it. But as it turned out, the fit was perfect. So that meant all I had to do was knit a little bit more, which I did that day, and then finish the toe on the second one and just sew up the ends on the first one. Now the toe that I used is from the Skedaddle sock pattern by Lena Gerald, who is Lena of A Wee Bit Knitty. And I've been using this toe on a lot of the socks, actually all of the socks that I've been doing pretty much for most of this year. So the reason I mention that, it's not like I've been doing different types of toes. So all I needed to do on the sock that I'd finished is, and it's a free pattern, so I'm not giving anything away, it's sort of a rounded toe. You decrease it 4 or 5 places around. So by the time you get to the end, you've got, I can't remember how many, we'll say 8 stitches left, and you just, using a tapestry needle, thread the yarn through those and then cinch it closed. I'll be able to see if I do it this way. You can see it's sort of like a pinwheel kind of a thing. For whatever reason, after Damien tried them on and we're sitting there having some coffee and going, oh, birthday, yay. For whatever reason, I started doing a Kitchener, just like I was doing, you know, a normal toe like that, or not normal, you know, a more common toe where, you know, you're decreasing on the side and then Kitchener across the top. Why I did that, I'm not sure. So I got sort of halfway through it and then went, what am I doing? This is not right. And then started unpicking the Kitchener, but then stitches started like unraveling and dropping down, even though it's quite toothy yarn, so not too many, but it was just the way it was, you know, happening, and I was probably panicking and whatever. So then I sort of, you know, had that, and I just put it down, and I sort of turned to Damien and said, let's just drink our coffee and not panic. He of course wasn't panicking. He's just like, okay, it's fine, whatever. So put them down, managed to pick it up. He hasn't worn them yet, but I don't see any drop stitches, so I think I caught them all in time. But anyway, very happy with that. Happy to now have found perfect stitch numbers and whatnot for Damien, so he might get some more socks in his future. So my next finished object I don't have to show you, and I didn't have to show you last time when it was finished and still blocking. That is the little boxy. So here is a photo of my gorgeous little Yarnder niece wearing her finished object. Isn't she gorgeous? And to clarify, when I say her finished object, I mean it's for her. I knit it. Just to see, I didn't snip off one of the ends on the arm there, but that was because I wasn't sure if the arms were going to be big enough, and I was waiting to see. So they seem to fit really nicely. They weren't stretched out. I guess perhaps next year we'll see if the arms need to be adjusted, because being a boxy size, the body is going to fit her for a little bit longer, but I may need to increase the arms. If you don't remember or didn't see last episode, the reason that the arms might be a bit small is because she is 9.5 now, but I had knit the 6-year-old size because that was her chest measurement, but I hadn't really considered that her arm measurement might be different, but seems okay for now. And she looks really, really lovely in it, as I had thought that style, that boxy floppy style, really suits her. She's quite tall and slender. She's a ballerina, so she's really got that figure, and it's, yeah, so happy. The back seam, you may recall, when I had been alternating the skeins at the beginning of the project, I'd pulled them tight to make sure that there wasn't going to get a ladder, and that was too tight and it caused a seam. So that was going down the side as I was starting, so it's a bottom-up jumper, top, sweater. And it's a paid pattern, so I won't give anything further away. But what I did was, when I started getting up towards the slits for the arms, instead of having that seam on the side, I rotated everything around so it goes down the back. When it blocked out, it's actually not that noticeable. Like, it is there, but it doesn't affect the drape, and it's not a problem at all. So I think it's a lovely design feature that just gives a subtle seam at the back. So that was fine. Also, I had not an issue with the short rows, I just completely misread the pattern, so I didn't do the short rows properly on the sleeves, or, you know, the boxy, the shoulders are about down here. So there's just nice little bubbly bits instead of a more short rowed line. All in all, I'm very, very happy with the project. It did take quite a while because it's, you know, for her size, if I'd done a fitted jumper, it would have been many fewer stitches, but love the project, really, really enjoyed it. I don't think I'll be making one for myself in an adult size because that's just not a sort of style that would suit me. I prefer things that are a little bit more fitted on my frame. That's obviously a personal choice. Everyone should wear whatever makes them feel comfortable. Don't let society dictate to you what flatters you or what you should wear. You wear whatever you want. What I want is not to wear a boxy on me. But I was very, very happy to knit that little boxy for my Yarnder niece Emma. And another finished object I'm very, very happy to have off the needles is the Tailor's Oldest Time cowl. It's done! Ta-da! Isn't it pretty? So this pattern is by Anne Valley, who is the wonder behind the little skein in the Big Wool Company. This is the cowl as it is in the pattern, and it was originally knit with 2 different self-strapping yarns. So what I did instead was had one self-strapping and one variegated, and I think they look gorgeous together. So, so happy. This part here, that's part of the pattern, it's in garter stitch, if you're wondering what the difference there is. So that's sort of the part that would go at the back here. I mean, you could wear it wherever you like, but I think that's the intention. I haven't blocked it yet, that's why there's still some yarn there. So this yarn here is, let me just grab the tag for you. Knit Picks for Lychee in the Countess colourway. Oh, sorry, I had my finger over it. So that's the self-striping. I really love how there's, you know, these little speckledy bits within it, and you can sort of see here, it looks like there's a wider pale part, but there's actually 2 stripes there that is very, very similar. So I used 2 whole balls of the Knit Picks Felice in this, and when I went to join the second ball, I didn't want to disrupt my striping sequence, and I got really excited. I was like, oh, this ball starts at one end on the light colours. Perfect, that's where I'm up to. Fabulous. Now, if I hold that up, I'll give you a minute. Sorry, I don't know what I'm touching here. There we go. Can you notice anything different? So as to not take up too much time. Here. This is where I started the second ball. Yes, I was at the light part, but it was only partway through the light part. So this part there is much thinner than those. Do I mind? Not at all. Because it's in the middle, so there we go. It's in the middle, so if it was going to happen, that's a fine place for it to happen, and I really don't think it makes too much difference. So not a problem whatsoever. And I was just glad to be able to get it without having to sort of, pull any off to get to a point, because I wanted to be able to use as much as possible to make it 2 full skeins. And then this is the variegated side. Doesn't that look fun? I love how it kind of striped in a way. But isn't it funny with, I don't know if my gauge changed, but, I'm doing the same number of stitches. But here, there's much bigger, thicker stripes. Here it sort of zigzaggies a bit, and so fun. So that one is also a Knit Picks. That's the Stroll Fingering and the Pansy Tonal. And yeah, I could not be happier with this project. It's for a friend's 40th. Purple is her favourite colour, and I think she's going to be really, really pleased. So you see in the photo here, there's sort of a bit of a gap where it hangs. So this is it doubled over. I tried it on me, and it's much closer to the neck because the yarn used in this sample, I think there was about 500 yards for each side, whereas the Felice, where are we? It's 218 yards, so I used 2, so you've only got, 440, or less than, obviously. I can do maths, I'm rounding up. And then what I did was, I did have more of the purple. I've got some more left, I'll show you in a moment. So I just, as I was approaching even, just measuring, to just make sure that it was a perfect size. So I think that'll be nice though, because I think with Perth winters being cold for us, but not cold in comparison to other places in the world, if we were wearing something, because this is quite thick because it's doubled because you're just knitting in the round, if you wanted something to double up, you'd want it close to your neck because you'd have the wind and all that sort of thing. So I think having it when it's doubled so close, I think is going to be really practical. And just so happy. It did take me quite a lot of time to knit because I guess, yeah, that's, the equivalent of, 200 yards, sorry, 200 grams of yarn. So yes, I wonder if I had been well, which would have been lovely, and just knitting when I normally do, which is, on the bus and train for my commute, a little bit in the evening, depending on what's happening. I don't get a lot of knitting time. I always do some knitting every day, usually. But I do wonder if I hadn't had so much time at home sick, if I would have got this finished, because I need to be giving it in 2 weeks. I did it in plenty of time. But when I was knitting it, I was putting a progress keeper on to see how much I was getting through in a day. It's not like I was sitting there for 12 hours straight knitting, but throughout the day. And I would every day go, it's really not that much. But, I'd be getting through maybe, from my finger up. Because it's about 120 stitches all the way around. But yes, the whole point of this rambling story is I'm glad I've got it done, because I would hate to have been, right up to the last minute knitting, and because I must say it was, a slog isn't the term, that's too strong a word, but I was very happy to finish it because I'd been working on it pretty monogamously to make sure I got it done. And it was just round and round, and yeah, let's be very clear, I could not have handled anything mentally that was more than just stocking it in the round because, brain fog from being sick. But I was very glad to have it done and to be able to move on to another project. Very, very happy. Beautiful, beautiful. If I do say so myself, obviously. It's a gorgeous pattern. The yarn is beautiful, but I think I did quite a nice job in choosing it. And yeah, I can't wait to show the recipient. If she's happy to have a photo, I will show you at the time. But otherwise, I'm going to get this blocking and we'll see if it grows or not. It's already very soft. Felici and Stroll yarn are very soft, but I think it can only get better from here. I've meant to say every time that I've talked about this that I heard about the pattern from a couple of podcasts. One was the Knit More Girls, to mention them again. Jasmine is knitting one of these, and also Twee from Twisted Stitches is knitting one. I think they both have the kit that uses these self-striping yarns, so I'm looking forward to see how they turn out. But yes, thank you ladies for mentioning it, because I'm very, very pleased. And this is the first cowl that I've knit, and it uses a Turkish cast on and quite a clever technique that I won't go into because it's a paid pattern. But when I was preparing to do it, and then after I started, I was really unsure, and I really had to reflect and have some self-compassion for myself, because I've not really done that many Turkish cast-ons. I think I've perhaps started 2 different socks toe up that utilised a Turkish cast-on, and not finished either because the sizing was just off. I would like to go back to toe up socks at some point, so it's not like it's put me off altogether, but my point being, yeah, when I started, I just couldn't visualise it, and I was getting quite down on myself, thinking that I should be able to do that. But yeah, I think now that I've done it and I know what it does, I'm okay with it. And I think, yeah, we all need to have some self-compassion to, accept that if we, don't have experience in something, we're not necessarily going to be, and I'm not even saying I wanted to be perfect at it, I just couldn't even visualise it. So yes, be nice to yourself and, just go with the flow. That's the attitude I'm trying to have. So the bags that was living in, first off, it was this one from my wonderful friend Julia, 9crafty11, who doesn't have an Etsy shop, but she is happy to take custom orders. Now, this is such a lovely size, and it's got these lovely pockets, so I was storing all the yarn in it, but I didn't want to scrunch it up in my bag when I was travelling around, so I then moved it to this one, which is by Love Sock Wool, lovely Sarah, of the Love Sock Wool podcast as well. And I chose this one because it's red and blue, and that makes purple. So it matched. Sorry, I've got all sorts of things in there, so it's rattling a bit. So that was lovely, lovely bag. And this also means that this project is eligible for the Pow Cow, the podcast Along Knit Along. I talked about that one last episode. That's being hosted by Michelle of Actually Knitting. So I'll put a link to her group because that's where all the rules, and she's hosting it. It's not my knit along, but I am donating a prize. So there is a slight link, but it's nothing. I'm not setting the rules, so I won't have any specific threads for the podcast along. But yes, so briefly, the rules are you can use yarn, stitch markers, project bags from podcasters who are also makers, and that means that you will be eligible for prizes and participate. So go and have a look. It's good fun, good to support our fellow podcasters. I've only really got one whip going at the moment because I finished this Taylor's Orders Time cowl on Sunday, it's a couple of days ago. And as I was saying, it's a wonderful project. I really enjoyed it, but especially doing, when you do self-striping in any project, it sort of feels like it goes a bit quicker because, you're going, oh, just to the next stripe, just to the next stripe, so the colour's changing all the time. So it's a little bit different with variegated because obviously you don't have that marking of times. Taylor's Orders Time. But, it's just a different progression mentally. So, when I finally got to the end, I was like, finished just knitting this purple tube over and over and over. Now I can start on one of my other projects that I've got on the needles. So let's knit another purple tube. The irony. So these are socks, there's the heel there, that I am knitting for the Yarn teen, my stepdaughter, who, as I mentioned, is nearly 17. These are for her birthday. So yes, it was ironic, from one purple tube to the other. But this is Invictus Yarns. Here's the tag. And this is in the BFL nylon base, which is lovely. And it's the Amethyst Dream colorway. So this yarn, it's quite toothy. And I think it'll soften up a bit, but I think that means it's going to be really, really hard wearing. It's quite an interesting yarn. It's, let's see if I can hold it up there. That's a really good example. See there, it's quite thick, and it's not like sometimes you get little tufts that come out of the yarn. But this yarn, it goes quite thick and thin, not in the same way as like an art yarn would, where it's like, like that. It still remains fingering weight, but it's really noticeable. Sometimes it goes really quite thin, and then you'll notice as you're going that it gets quite plump. So it's not a problem, and it's not affecting the size or anything to that degree. It all balances out. But yeah, it is quite interesting. I've not knit with a fingering that does that. So I mention it just for a point of interest, not as a complaint or anything like that. There's a few stitch markers on here. I did post this on Instagram, and that was a little while ago because I've had these on hold while I worked on that cow, because that birthday is before this birthday. So Fish Lips Kiss Heel, doing my thing. As I got to, towards the top when you start, because you do short rows in different places. It's a $1 pattern, so it's paid for, so I'm not going to go into it, but yeah, for $1, buy it if you don't already have it. It's amazing. So yes, knitting along, and then sort of went, normally I would have 12 stitches in this place, and I only have 11. So I'm like going, okay. I look down and I find a drop stitch that happened here. So that means instead of 68 stitches around, or 34 on this side, I've had 33 going for this whole side, and therefore 33 for most of the heel. So I thought, am I going to rip back? No. Melinda does not like to rip back, if at all possible. And I really don't think one stitch is going to make a huge difference. And if anything, it'll actually be, because that, where it's happening, this point here, if anything, if it made it just the tiniest bit tighter, that'd be quite good at the back of the heel for, fit and grip. So all I did was, where I realised I was, and I've taken notes for it so I can replicate it on the second sock, I just did a knit front back and added an extra stitch. Off we went, we were fine. So it's all good. I've just got to remember to do a knit two together at some point when I get to that, I think it's like row 60 or something, on the second sock. And it's lucky because I started the second sock on Sunday after I finished the cowl, and yet really felt like it was flying by, because to go from near 120 to 68, it's like round and round, off I go. So I had forgotten about that drop stitch till I pulled it out this morning to get ready for recording, so I must really remember to do it. To be honest, I think if I don't remember to do it, I don't think it's going to make a difference. I don't think Sophie's going to be the princess and the pea and say one sock is tighter than the other. Having said that, she can be a bit fussy with her food, and she would notice something weird like that in food. Let's see. I'll just have to be very vigilant and make sure I decrease and do it exactly the same, just in case. So that's what that stitch marker is for. This one is just to mark the end of my heel, because I use that as my counting point to count the rows in my foot. And that one is just because I counted how far I was up to, and I've made a note just so I know where to go on that. So Sophie's feet are just slightly shorter than mine, so it's really good. I can now that I've established the perfect number of rows for my foot, I can just go a few less for hers and know that it will fit her really well. So those are going well. As I said, her birthday's in a couple of weeks, but I think I'm going to be more than fine. These will fly off the needles. So the project bags, I've got them in. The second sock is in this gorgeous one that was sent to me by my lovely friend Josie. She just spoils me so much. Josie, if you remember, she was the one who gave me a sewing machine. Yes, a sewing machine. A few episodes ago. And as a quick update on that, the reason I was talking about sewing is that I want to make or be part of the boomerang bags project, and that's where local communities get together, sew shopping bags and have them available at the local shopping centre so that people don't have to use plastic bags. I'm still pursuing that, but there's been a lot of red tape associated with it, accessibility to the people who are already doing it in other areas near me. Our schedules don't link up for us to be able to get together and organise it. So, plus because I've been sick, Sophie's been sick repeatedly as well. She had a virus a few weeks ago. Last week she had severe food poisoning, so she was home all week with me. It's quite funny, I was like feeding her on the hour, and she was saying, well, you know, you didn't get to see me as a baby, so now you've had that experience. But yes, all that to say, as soon as I have any traction with the Boomerang Bags project, I will definitely let you know, because I am very passionate in getting involved in it. It's just turned out to not be as easy as I thought, unfortunately. But back to this. Now, Josie gave this to me a few weeks ago, and I did film me showing it for last episode, but the file corrupted. I don't know why. Just every so often, some of my files play fine back on the iPad that I record on, but then when I move them all to the editing software I use, just every so often, and it's more usually when I'm out and about, it's weird. Like if I take the iPad and film, I don't know what it is. Touch wood, it doesn't happen again. But yes, sorry. Apologies, Josie, for the delay in being able to publicly thank you. But that's the reason. It's just that the file got corrupted for last time. So this is fabulous Wonder Woman fabric. Yay. And this is also Zatanna and Black Canary, two other fabulous characters as well. They're also two of Damien's favourite characters, so he was particularly excited by this. So very, very cool. Thank you, Josie. So that's my first socks in that one. And my second one, oh sorry, that's the second sock. My first sock is in this bag from a homespun house. These cute little girls playing, skipping. So this project will also be eligible for the Pal Cow because, of course, a homespun house, lovely Molly, has a podcast as well. So that's my only active whip at the moment, because I really want to make sure that those are done in plenty of time so that I'm not stressing, there's nothing to worry about. But I have been thinking about re-picking up a project that's been in hibernation for definitely over a year, possibly a year and a half. It's the Mama Vertebrae cardigan pattern. So I started that whenever it was that Jenny and Devon on, now sadly, formerly running the podcast Handmade in Woolen. They're sadly no longer recording, but of course all the best to you both for what you are pursuing. They had an outfit along, or a make along, I can't remember exactly what it was. They've had several of those, but this was one of their initial ones, so yeah, going back a while. And I was using Jinx yarns, and it's a lovely tonal red colour. And I think I put it away just because something else came up in terms of priority. It was probably gift knitting or something, and I haven't re-picked it up. I was never really sure how the sizing was going to go, but I think I'll just pick it up, and even if it's too big for, you know, what I would feel comfortable in wearing out and about, I figure it'll just, in any case, be really nice and cozy for around the house cardigan, because, as I said, it's getting wintry here. It's nice to have woolens. While I was off sick, I was layering up in lots of shawls and whatnot. So I definitely think I'll pull that out and just see where I'm up to. I seem to think I might be up to the sleeves, but I'll see. Don't know. And as a quick update on the Amagansett dress that I'm going to be knitting for Sophie, we have picked the colours. You may have seen on Instagram. I showed in the last episode here that the second purple I had bought looked a bit too blue. And thanks to the feedback, everyone agreed with me on that. So I showed Sophie, she's decided to go for red as the colour. So it'll be black, purple and red. So I think she'll be more than happy with that. Now, because she was sick, I wasn't measuring her after the last episode because she was still recovering from a virus. So I didn't, because I wanted her to have, you know, her undergarments on and be wearing what, you know, she'd be wearing under the dress. Then we were going to measure her last weekend, and then she got food poisoning. And now, because she's barely been eating for a week and a half, she's lost a lot of weight. She was already quite slender. So now I don't want to measure her now because hopefully she will, in eating normally, go back to her regular size. So all in all, it's on hold again. But that's okay. I told her way before this that it wasn't going to be done for her birthday. And she was fine with that. She just said, could it just be done in time for winter? And I said, well, yes, but it's also, I've used a yarn that's not a wool, so that it should be more trans-seasonal. But I will keep you updated on the progress of that. It'll be like dress watch or something. So more on that later. I've got a lot of acquisitions and they are all presents, and I'm so grateful and blown away. So I just really want to clarify, this is not about me bragging or showing off things. I just really want to publicly thank people and share with you some of the joy that's been given to me. So first off, and I've got to look at my list, that's how many there are. Julia, who's 9craft11 of the bags, she doesn't have an Etsy shop, but she can make bags for you. She sent me a pattern called the Rat Race Scarf. This was one I had put in my queue because I was going to make it for Sophie, and she kindly gave it to me. Here's a photo of it. It's actual rats, so cute. Well, not actual rats, not real rats. It's made of rats, in a shape of rats. We have 3 pet rats in our house, or Sophie does, they're her pets, Mia, Miffy and Mimi. And so Sophie was very, very excited that Julia gave that gift to us. And she thinks she wants purple rats. So I'm not sure what yarn I'm going to use yet. I'll have to look through my stash. I can't even remember what weight of yarn the pattern calls for. But I will look through my stash and see what I have. I'll probably make it in time for our Japan trip for later in the year. It's definitely not going to happen for her birthday, but she's fine with that. That doesn't matter. Another pattern I was generously given was, I'm just going to read what the title is, Jenny's Garden, which are fingerless mitts or wrist warmers by the designer Willoughby Way. And that was sent to me so kindly by Jill of the Skein Enable podcast. And she said specifically that the reason for choosing those was that proceeds from the pattern are being sent to Oceana, which is a charity that's working to fight climate change with a focus on the oceans. So climate change is a massive issue dear to my heart. The issue is not dear to my heart. Working to find ways we can arrest further climate change is dear to my heart. So thank you so much for that, Jill. It's a gorgeous pattern, and they're with the garden theme. Sorry, they've been knit in green yarn. So here's a photo. So really pretty, and I think they've got sort of a poison ivy lilt to them, as in poison ivy, the DC comic character. So that makes them even cooler. So thank you, Jill. And another pattern I was given is one that's also been given to one of you. So Vicky of the Sweet Leaps podcast, who's Devixter Designs, has just released her first design called So Close, and this is a photo of it here. So it was designed for her sister, and it's a beautiful pattern. It's reversible. As I said, she's given me a copy, but she's also given you a copy. So there is a prize thread in our Ravelry group, and you just have to go over there. You must be a member of the group to enter, as is always the case, 1 post per person. And I'd like you to tell me, so the pattern is called So Close. So use that title in your answer. So either tell me about someone or something you are very close to, or tell me about something that you were so close to getting or having. So either way, interpret it how you will. Tell me something about yourself. I will be drawing that winner towards the end of June. So essentially, if the thread is still open, feel free to enter. And in that prize thread, I have linked to both the pattern page, but also to the YouTube video that Vicky has made specifically about the shawl. So if you want some more info or to see different variations of it, you can go there. So thank you very much, Vicky. Speaking of prizes, in this case a former prize, when we had our Pop Culture Cowl earlier in the year, one of our prize donors was Knit So Pop, who is an Australian bag maker, and she donated a Wonder Woman fabric bag to one of our winners, which was awesome. That's gone off to the person, and she also sent me one, and I've received mine now. So this is her label, Knit So Pop. Of course, links to all of these makers and people in the show notes. Here's the fabric. Isn't that amazing? So it's sort of the style of Wonder Woman from the new movie. more on that later. And I love it. It's so awesome. So thank you so much, Knit So Pop. Fabulous. I cannot wait to use it. There's another convention coming up in a couple of weeks. Damien's been very, very busy. If you're not aware, Damien is the designer or illustrator behind DKS Art and Design. So he's preparing for the convention. And I think this will definitely be one of my project bags that I will be taking. There's more Wonder Woman. I love Wonder Woman. There's a lot of Wonder Woman in my life lately. That makes me exceedingly happy. So I received a message from a lovely viewer, now a friend, and she said that she received a Wonder Woman Funko Pop and would I like it because she thought of me. I thought that would be so lovely. Thank you for thinking of me. Here it comes. Isn't she cute? So cute. So that was exciting. But when the box arrived, I was like, that's a pretty big box. It must have a lot of padding in it. She sent more things. So spoiled. So this little clip, this sort of pop or comic-y sort of thing came with this in the pack. So she sent along. So that can be a great zipper pull stitch marker. It's got like a little pushy thing. What do you call that? It's got one of those. Yeah. So, but she also made me some stitch markers, and they're made with amethyst and tanzanite, and she sent me some information about those stones. Aren't they beautiful? Just gorgeous black and purple. I just love it. Excuse me as I lean over. She sent me some yarn. It's not just yarn, it's hand spun. She sent me hand spun. So this beautiful tonal purple. Look at that. That's coming up really nicely. And this is BFL silk, 75 BFL, 25 Tussar silk from Sweet Georgia. And it's the ultraviolet colourway, and she's put details about the weight and whatnot. So, oh, so pretty. And then this one is called Thor's Hammer, and this is 50/50 merino tencel white spruce top. Beautiful colours. And this was spun during last year's Red Along. So I was talking about we're going to have the Red Along again in July. So that's red, the colour red along. So how special is that? Not only is it hand spun, but it was spun in a YarnderWoman podcast knit along, and just, oh my goodness, so blown away. Thank you so much. Just, oh, so generous. As I said, I'm not meaning to brag. I just really want to share the joy and the beauty of what people are doing. Just, oh, so lovely. So we went and saw Wonder Woman the other week. More on that later. Sorry for all the suspense. And I posted a photo on Instagram because to get into the swing of it, into the mood, I was rereading this comic that was sent to me by my lovely friend Maria, and I put this in the photo, and in sort of with my legs crossed, I had a photo with my Harley Quinn socks. So that's the colourway from No Maker's Harley Quinn, also one of my favourite characters. But Wonder Woman wins. And I said, I'm getting ready for the movie, but I don't have Wonder Woman socks. What a hole in my handmade wardrobe. So I had meant that just as a passing remark. A lovely friend got in touch and said, you need Wonder Woman yarn? I dyed you some. Oh my God, look. How beautiful is that? The colours are just perfect from the costume from the movies and the new iteration. Beautiful. Also this gorgeous card. Knitting forever, housework whenever. This is my mantra, I think. Yep. And some lovely tea, peppermint and licorice. I've never had that flavour, so I'm looking forward to that. I might have that on my way to work, actually. But, oh, stunning little stitch marker. So blessed. I cannot describe how grateful I feel. I never expect anyone to send me things, and it just so lovely. This I'm going to be casting on for the convention that I mentioned that's coming up, because I run the stall with Damien for his business. So in between selling his beautiful artworks, I will be doing some Wonder Woman socks, and I think I will definitely be having this project bag plus the other one that's over there and I can't reach it, that Josie gave me. So I have double Wonder Woman bags because I have 2 socks going concurrently. Wonder Woman yarn, I'll be all set. How can you go wrong? So much has been spinning me round because it's just been a lovely time lately. Other than being sick, though my head was spinning a little bit during that period when I was dizzy from illness, but let's move on from that. So it was YarnderMum's birthday on the 1st of June. She was 67 years young. I put a few photos on Instagram and she was so excited by all the comments she got, people wishing her happy birthday. She still can't quite get her head around the fact that all these people from around the world know her and like her, and she's just very excited. So thank you for helping to make her day even more special. It really does make her smile. So on the day, I went to lunch with her and Yarnder Auntie, her sister, and we went to our favourite cafe, which is all whole foods, vegetarian, no sugar, no gluten, dairy, all that sort of thing. So it suits all three of our dietary needs, as well as just being really delicious. So we did that on the day, which was lovely. We then went back to Yarnder Auntie's house and hung out with Yarnder Uncle as well. So very relaxed and chilled, and Yarnder Mum had a lovely time. It was then 2 days later, Damien's birthday, and the 3rd of June is also International Wonder Woman Day. Just perfect. So Damien wanted to see Wonder Woman anyway, but it was a great day to see it. So we went and saw the movie on his birthday. I loved it. I just really think it was just amazing. It's so wonderful to see Wonder Woman on the big screen. Obviously she had a part in the Batman vs Superman movie, which that's what on this Funko Pop. So it's the same costume that then is used in the Wonder Woman solo movie. So good. It's just amazing to see a superhero movie that's got a female lead, female director. It's what the world needed. Wonder Woman is what the world needs. Absolutely. So yeah, highly recommend seeing it. I haven't heard any negative reviews of it, which is just amazing. There's some really empowering moments, I think. So Damien, Sophie and I went. We all loved it. It was really, really good. So yeah, that was wonderful. I highly recommend it. Go and see it. And just to continue the Wonder Woman theme, because it's there, this is a notebook. So it's got a little thing there, that Sophie the Yarn team gave me for Easter. She thought we don't really do chocolate in our house. So what I'm using this for is the Bruce Lee Podcast Challenge. So the Bruce Lee Podcast is run by the Bruce Lee Company that is headed by Shannon Lee, who's Bruce Lee's daughter. So the podcast is hosted by Shannon and one of her co-workers, Sharon Lee, no relation. And it's a wonderful podcast. Every episode it looks at a different part of Bruce Lee's philosophies and teachings and aspects of his life. Really, really good. Even if you only have a vague interest in Bruce Lee, and I think he's wonderful, I really recommend it. It's very inspiring and lots of really good ideas. So what the challenge is, it started yesterday on the 12th of June, so there's still time to catch up. It's looking at, let me just refresh my notes, 3 aspects. So there's affirmations, a nutritional fitness, and a harmony. So the idea of it is to come up with some of your own affirmations and each day say them to yourself out loud. Then come up with something to do with your nutrition or fitness. It's their sort of open sentence is, I would feel better in my body if I did, insert here, and you're supposed to be very specific with it. And then the harmony is about not having negative thoughts towards other people and to yourself as well. So you're supposed to do this for 2 weeks, journal about your experience, any changes you can feel in your behaviour or your thoughts. And then there's a competition at the end where that's sort of secondary. Well, it would be awesome. You get some really cool Bruce Lee merchandise, including one of his actual business cards that he had, and with a certificate of authenticity and all that sort of thing. But I'm really interested in doing it because I've really wanted to be getting back more into meditation. When I say get back into it, it's not like I've even had a significant practice of meditation before. It's one of those things I keep saying, I want to be someone who meditates, but I really am going to make a strong effort, and to quote Yoda, there is no try, you just do. I'm going to become someone who meditates every day, because I think meditation has just so many benefits. It's cultures have known that for thousands upon thousands of years. And it's, just becoming more and more prevalent, I think, in terms of slow living and stress release and all that sort of thing. So as I was saying earlier in the podcast, because I have a low immune system from the medication, stress for anyone, of course, lowers our immune system. So I need to be particularly careful. And I must say, I do get quite stressed about things. I try to be relaxed. I try to be conscious about it. But, I have a very busy job, lots to do with my family, assisting mum with her Alzheimer's and all that. And, don't get me wrong, I in no way consider that a chore or a problem, but it is, something I have to do. I'm a parent. And look, I'm not the only person who has a busy job and has to care for a parent and care for a child and live their life. So I'm in no way complaining. I'm not saying I'm in a terrible situation or worse than anyone else. So please don't get me wrong. I'm just acknowledging that there is stress in my life and acknowledging that I would like to address that to be more mentally healthy and also physically healthy, because it does affect my immune system. Well, affects everyone's immune system. My stress doesn't affect everyone's immune system. Your own stress affects your immune system. If my stress is affecting your immune system, please meditate, do something. No, I'm not meaning to be flippant, because stress is stressful. But yes, so I think this challenge is going to be a really good way to focus me. I guess in the same way that, a knit along can be a good way to focus you into knitting something that you've always wanted to do and just haven't got around to yet. So I'm really looking forward to it. So I won't read you my affirmations because they are a bit personal. That doesn't mean I won't later, but I'll see how I go. So I found it really interesting because the instructions on the challenge, it says, write at least one, hopefully more, of your own affirmations. Refer to some of Bruce Lee's if you need inspiration. But I was quite surprised, because in thinking about doing it, I wasn't sure what they were going to be. But as soon as I started writing, they just came to me. It was quite emotional, actually. I was getting a bit teary because I suppose these things are quite, I don't know how you describe it. The feelings are quite buried inside me, I suppose, but wanting to come to the surface, if that makes sense, because I really want to have less stress. I want to ruminate less. I've always had, if I look back to childhood, I've always had a ruminating mind where I just think about something over and over and over and over. I've had an anxiety disorder. I was previously on medication. I'm no longer. But again, back to the stress, definitely notice I get some symptoms of having near anxiety attacks sometimes, but not enough that I feel the need to go back on medication. And the reason I came off was a personal choice. I have no problem whatsoever with medication, so please don't think there's any judgment or indictment there, not at all. That's just where I felt I was in terms of my illness. So yeah, I think I am well on track to getting things where I'd like them to be, for it to have more of an even keel. I think one of the affirmations or philosophies of Bruce Lee that I have borrowed for the challenge and that I'd like to have more in my life is his phrase, "Be water, my friend." So I'll link to that specific episode, because in each of the Bruce Lee podcast episodes, they talk about specific quotes, and that's quite a famous one of Bruce Lee's. I don't know the whole thing off by heart, but he says, water can flow, water can crash. When you pour it into a cup, it becomes the cup. And so he says, be water, my friend. Excuse me. That's both my throat, and I got a little bit emotional then. I got choked up, because the way, what he means is be water, go with the flow. And the way I want to look at that is not be so rigid. Don't get stressed if I can't control something. If I feel that my hands are tied and I can't control that situation, in that respect, I'm talking about, my illness, my mum's illness, other people in my family with illnesses, things like that. Stressful situations in life where sometimes I think I get upset and ruminate is because I feel I have no control. And, on a day-to-day basis, I don't feel that way, but this is what I want to deal with. It's that underlying stress and that ruminating. So I'd like to be more like the water. let it flow. That doesn't mean things aren't going to affect me. It doesn't mean things don't affect people when things happen. It's about responding rather than reacting. That's something that Sarah on Yarns at Yin Who podcast was talking about a couple of episodes ago. Having that mindfulness to respond, not react to things. And I also love the phrase that Bruce Lee uses, "Be water, my friend," as in he's addressing a friend. And I think we should address ourselves as a friend. Like I was talking about earlier with self-compassion about knitting techniques, we should have self-compassion for ourselves as we're, going through life in general. So yeah, this is quite a long chat and it's got a little bit deep. So I hope you're okay with that, and it was a little bit interesting and something that you might reflect on for yourself. If not, hope you enjoyed it anyway. But I'll update you on how I go with it in the next episode. I'll probably be posting more on Instagram about it as well. It's # Bruce Lee Podcast Challenge. Got my WonderWoman book all set. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. A little bit of mindfulness and self-exploration, I guess, is a way of self-improving and being a bit more calm. And I don't mean that I'm always stressed. It's just that underlying ripple and what goes on in my head, that over and over thinking. So if you have any thoughts or comments on any of that sort of stuff or anything else in the podcast, do come and have a chat in the Ravelry thread or send me a direct message if you want to keep it private. I'd love to hear from you. If you don't want to talk about it, that's awesome too. And with that, I think we're finished up for the day. Thank you so much for joining me. It is always lovely to chat with you. So grateful that you spend time with me. I really enjoy our interactions on Ravelry or YouTube, Instagram, wherever. And even if you just are a viewer, even if you solely view and don't comment, that's fine too, because I'm just glad you're enjoying the show. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day. Chat with me on the group. Send me a message if you've got any questions. I will see you next time. And until then, happy crafting.